Tonight for our math talks, we want to do an oldie but a goodie. And I'm going to talk about an oldie because we're talking about this phrase, this acronym that's been used forever, ever. And it's called, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Repeat after me. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. One more time. You can do better than that. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Yes, I'm so excited to talk about this tonight. Now, what we're talking about here, this is an acronym where the letters P, E, M, D, A, and S stand for something else, okay? And the overall thing, what we call this, when we see please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, we call it the order of operations. What do we call it? We call it the order of operations. Now, what's going to happen tonight, I want to talk about each piece of the order of operations, and I want to add some things that maybe you know or maybe that you don't know. Because through past about 15 years, it changed up on me, because this is what I used about 20 years ago when I was in school. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, and they still use it today. But there have been some slight changes depending if you're in Virginia or if you are in North Carolina or in Maryland. But we'll talk about that in just a few moments. Now, the key word we need to focus on is order. Everybody says order. Okay? When we talk about order, that means that is giving direction. Okay? There is some direction that's going to be given. Okay? Like a chronological order. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, 100th. Okay? This is what we're talking about. It's an order. Okay? Also, when we talk about the order, we're talking about the different steps. Okay? So, this is like a recipe tonight that I'm talking about here. I have P, E, M, D, A, and S. Okay? Now, since it's in a order, I can't take my AS and put it at the top and say AS, P, E, M, D. No. You're going to get us in trouble with the math people. Okay? They get mad when you mess up the math, folks. So the order has to be the P, which stands for parentheses. Okay? E, that stands for exponents. M, that stands for multiplication. D stands for division. A stands for addition. And your S stands for subtraction. So that is the order. Now, the other piece is the operations. Okay? As far as I know, as far as the math people knows, there are really only 4 operations. Okay? 4 operations. What are you talking about, Mr. Jones? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Once again, these are the 4 operations. You either can add something, subtract something, multiply something, or divide something. So these are the orders of operations. Now, I'm going to give you some problems in about 20 minutes or so, and you're going to see that you might just want to do it any way that you want to, but guess what? If you do it any way you want to, you might get the wrong answer. So that's why we have to follow this step-by-step recipe, okay? And within the recipe, there are other key things that you need to deal with, okay? Now, we got the order of operations. We know about please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. This is just an acronym to help you do what? Remember all of the parts and the order of the steps. Once again, I can't do exponents, then the parentheses. No, you can't do that. You can't just say, hey, I want to do multiplication after I do addition and subtraction. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay? Because you're going to mess up the calculations. Okay? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay? Now, the first one I want to talk about is parentheses. Okay? Or parentheses. I always have a hard time pronouncing that too. But I might say that. Somebody correct me later on. Parentheses here. Now, inside of my parentheses here, I have a word two words called grouping symbols. Grouping symbols, okay? Depends on the level that you're watching this video on right now. They're going to add either a G, okay, in front of the P. Because what's happening here, when we talk about the parentheses, is part of a whole nother category called grouping symbols, okay? And before you get to your exponents, your multiplication, division, or your addition, subtraction, guess what, folks? You have to deal with the grouping symbols. And check this out. When you have your different grouping symbols, you go from the inside and you go out. I call it the ripple effect. If you ever taken a pebble before and bloop, bloop, toss it in the water, what's going to happen? You're going to have a ripple that starts at the center and it's going to move out. Okay? Now, some of you say, Mr. Jones, a grouping symbol? What is a grouping symbol, Mr. Jones? Well, I'll tell you in just a second. All right? Now, here are some of our more basic grouping symbols. Some of you have seen them, some of you haven't. Okay? Brackets. Okay? These are on your keyboard. If you look on your keyboard, you see some funny symbols. It's one that's to the left and there's one to the right. These are called what? Brackets. Now, here's another one that we're going to have. Let me see, can I draw this right? I have a hard time drawing this, folks. I messed up again. All right. Now, this is on your keypad as well. These are called braces. So you got brackets, you have braces, and of course you have your what? Your parentheses. But the most common grouping symbols is going to be your parentheses. Okay? And because you have those there, then guess what? That's why we usually say P and we say please. Okay? Brackets, braces, parentheses. Now check this out. I bet you didn't know this. Another grouping symbol would be this right here. We call that the fraction bar. That's considered a grouping symbol. Okay? Here's another one right here that I learned. Here and here. This don't look like parallel lines. They are parallel lines. But if you see them like this and you have a -4 inside of them, Ms. Jones, did you just put a negative number inside it? Yes. Anytime that you put a negative number inside this grouping symbol, we call this absolute value. Excuse my spelling. I think I spelled that wrong, but excuse if I spelled it wrong. And what this means right here, if you have these absolute value things right here, guess what's going to happen? It's automatically going to turn into a positive number. I'm like, what? So these are some of our grouping symbols. So sometimes you may see fraction bar. Sometimes you may see the absolute value. Sometimes you're going to see brackets. Sometimes you're going to see braces. But definitely in orders of operation, you are going to see what we call parentheses, okay? And once again, if you see any of these symbols right here, you're going to work from the inside going out. Say it with me. Inside, going out. Inside, going out. Questions or concerns? Questions or concerns right there. Okay? Like I said, tonight I'm not going to focus on all of the grouping symbols because it depends on the grade level that you are in and where you're going to use them. But for all points and purposes, we're going to focus on the what? Parentheses. Don't forget you got fraction bars. And yes, absolute value. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Orders operation. Orders operation. All right? So the first piece we look at is our P, which stands for our what? Parentheses. Okay? And a parenthesis is part of a larger group called grouping symbols. Now, the next piece I want to talk about is this thing called the exponent. Okay? Now, every time I get up here, I usually deal with something involving multiplication. Okay? If you haven't figured it out yet, when the math people put all this math together, I want to think that they made the foundation addition and multiplication. Okay? Why you say addition, Mr. Jones? Because guess what multiplication is? Addition is repeated. Multiplication is repeated addition. I'm going to say that backwards. When you talk about repeated addition, that's multiplication. So the foundation of multiplication is going to be what? Addition. So that is what's going on here when we talk about the exponent. Okay? Now, what usually happens is with our exponent, you're going to have a really, really big number here. And then right in the corner, you're going to have a smaller number. Okay? This smaller number here is what we call the exponent. Okay? And this exponent tells this number here how many times to multiply itself. Okay? Sometimes this number is going to change. Okay? It's not always going to be a 2. It could be a 3, a 4, a 5. It could be a whole lot of different things. Okay? So that's what we want to make sure that we focus and deal with right here. But all it is going to be what? Multiplication. So right now, this simply means this. 3 2 times. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. That's it. Nothing hard about that. All right, let's try this one here then. That was 3 times 3, which was 9. Let's do 4. To the third. 4 to the third. Mr. John, what that mean? That's 4 times 3 is 12? No. That's not what that means. This doesn't mean that you multiply these two. No. This red number, this little number tells this number how many times multiply it. So what we got here, that's going to be 4 times 4 times 4. That's all it's saying. 4 times 4 times 4. So what does that mean, Mr. Jones? That's what it means. It means 16 times 4. Where does 16 come from, Mr. Jones? 4 times 4 is what? 16. I multiply another 4. 4 times 6 is 4. Carry my 2. 64. I didn't add these. I multiplied these. So that means 4 to the third power is 64. This is what an exponent is. Okay? And we might practice with some of this later on as well too. Parentheses or grouping symbols. Parentheses or grouping symbols. E stands for exponents. Exponent is going to be the little number that sits up on this. It's almost like he's sitting on the number's shoulder right here. Like if I held this joker right here, hey, what do you want to tell me to do? Jump 2 times. You like that man to be, he's like, that's it. That's like the man on the cha-cha slide. Slide to the left. Hey, slide to the right. Crisscross. Everybody clap your hand. That's what he doing. This little dude up here is whispering in your ear. Crisscross. Hey. Yeah, he went there. Parentheses also known as grouping symbols. That's first. Second, you have to do exponents. Now, ooh, folks, math people, future math people, this used to get me in trouble. Okay? Now, I've added something that some of you may not understand, but will understand now. I don't put my M and D over top each other. No. Why don't you do that? Because it's not what's really happening. What's really happening is you have to understand that going from this way to this way, going from this way to this way, sometimes it's going to change. In your orders of operation, when I go from left to right, when I go from left to right like you're reading, sometimes it's going to be multiplication or division. In some cases, it's going to be division or multiplication. How they used to teach me was, hey, you always got to do multiplication before division. No, that's not what it means anymore. Take care of your parentheses or your grouping symbols. Check. Take care of all of your exponents. Check. Okay? Now you just look at your multiplication division as you go from left to right. If you come to a multiplication first, do the multiplication. We're going to do an example in just a few moments. Hey, if you come to a division first, going from left to right, then you do what? Your division first. Okay? That's all. We're going to practice that. But it used to be, please excuse my dear. So it could be, excuse dear my. Once again, this is just an acronym so you can put it together. But once again, the multiplication division, whichever comes first. Okay? Once you checked off your parentheses or grouping symbols, check. Once you check off your exponents, check. Once you check off multiplication division going from left to right, then guess what's next? You do addition, subtraction the same way. You go from left to right. Oh, my belt keep coming loose, folks. Excuse me. I must go get these math people trying to give me a whipping tonight. All right, here we go. Thank you. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I have addition and subtraction. Have addition and subtraction. Have addition and subtraction. Or it could be subtraction or addition. Okay? Let's pause here real quick and see if you have any other questions. See if you have any other questions, but we do some sample problems. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about the orders of operation. And once again, first, second, third, fourth. Okay? First, second, third, and fourth. That is what we are looking at. And some people call it PEMDAS. Some people call it PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We're still talking about the orders of operation. I want to give a couple of sample problems. Write this down on your notes. 3 plus 12. Three plus 12 divided by 3 multiply times 2. Mr. Jones, why don't you just write that again? Because I want to do it two ways. I'm going to do it the right way and also do it the wrong way. Because either way, you're going to get an answer, but there's only one right way if you follow your what? Orders of operation. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay? Now, what I like to do is to try to keep things as neat as possible. Okay? So I'm going to go down here in this problem here. Do you see any parentheses? No. I crossed this out. I'm done. Are there any exponents in this one? No. I don't see any. So now we go to multiplication. Are there any multiplication in here? Yes. Is there any division in here? Yes. In this case right here, look, listen. The division comes before the multiplication. That is correct. You don't skip over the division to go to the multiplication. Remember what I told you, it could be multiplication division or division multiplication. Whichever comes first. In this case, what comes first? 12 divided by 3. So I keep my 3 plus 12 divided by 3 is 4 times 2. So I do the operation. I call it simplifying. Okay? Oh, thank you. I forgot about that earlier. The numbers that we're going to be talking about today are not going to have an equal sign. So we're not talking about equations today. We're going to be talking about this thing called an expression. The opposite of an expression is an equation. So notice I'm not putting the equal sign. It's because I'm just simplifying or solving my expression. So right now, 3 plus 4 times 2. Where did the 4 come from? The 4 came from 12 divided by 3. All right. So I go back here. No parentheses, no exponents. Is there multiplication division or division multiplication? Guess what I have here? I have multiplication here. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 3. It's important to pay attention to your operation signs. Where did the 8 come from? 4 times 2. Is there any parentheses? No. Exponents? No. Multiplication, division, division, multiplication? We're done. What's next? Addition and subtraction. So now I just go 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the correct way. Now, I always have 1 or 2 students that say, Mr. Jones, this is so easy. I'm just going to follow along and do it the way I want to do. No. This is the orders of operations. Somebody's going to try this. Mr. Jones, 12 plus 3, 12, 13, 14, 15. I got this, Mr. Jones, divided by 3 times 2. 15 divided by 3, Mr. Jones, that's easy. That's going to be 5. Okay, times 2. Mr. Jones, 5 times 2 is 10. I got my answer. Hey, you got an answer. Hey, I'm happy that you got an answer. But guess what? You got the wrong answer. But it's close. No. It doesn't matter if it's close. You have to follow the order of operations. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division left and right, or division, multiplication left and right. Addition, subtraction left to right, or it could be subtraction, addition left to right. Correct way, wrong way. Questions or concerns? Questions or concerns? And some of you ask, Mr. Jones, you're going to write that an acronym the entire time? Yep. That's called showing my work. Showing my work. And I know a couple of y'all still got some SOLs that you need to finish up. And I want you to continue to do what? Show your work. All right, get your note and pens out. Follow along with me here. 15 minus 5 plus 4. 15 minus 5 plus 4 times, or multiply, here we go. There's my first parenthesis. 6 plus 3 times 2. Write this down. 15 minus 5 plus 4 multiplied times, close, open, what do you call that? Open bracket, 6 plus 3 times 2, close bracket. Woo. Hey, don't get upset. Don't get upset. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. All right? Now, what do we do first? Okay? The first question you ask yourself, are there parentheses? Yes. So we go here, and I underline my parentheses right here. Okay? Now, the next thing I ask myself, are there exponents in those parentheses? No. Do you see multiplication or division in there? Yes, I do. Guess what you do first, folks? You do the multiplication inside of here first. So that'll be, close parentheses, 6 plus 6. What? Miss Jones, whoa, what'd you just do? I just did the orders of operations. 6 plus 3 times 2, 6 plus 6. And I got rid of this right here. I still have my parentheses right here. I want to bring this down. 15 minus 5 plus 4 multiplied by that. Do I have parentheses? Yes. So I have to stop here. What's in the parentheses? 6 plus 6, which is now 12. 15 minus 5 plus 4 times 12. Everybody with me? All I'm doing is simplifying, breaking things down. I'm not changing the symbols. I'm just putting the operations in a different color. So I have subtraction, addition, and multiplication. All right, let me do my checklist real quick. Are there any more parentheses? No. Are there any exponents? No. Do I have multiplication, division? Yes, I got multiplication, division, or division, multiplication. No, I just got one multiplication sign. So I'm going to come here. 12 times 4. I know my 12s, I'm going to do it to help me out. It should be 48. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. And 4 times 1 is 4. So that gives us what? 48. Bring everything else down. 15 minus 5 plus 48. Mr. Jones. Yes, I hear you. So now, is there any other multiplication and division? No, I can cross these two out now. Now, here comes the addition, subtraction, or the subtraction, addition. Whichever comes first from left to right. Just because we say Aunt Sally doesn't mean we have to do addition first. It's whichever comes first, the addition or the subtraction, when we go from left to right. Hey folks, check this out. When I go from left to right this time, guess what happens to be first? Subtraction, that is. So I do 15 minus 5 which is 10 plus 48. What do I have left? I have my addition left. 10 plus 48. Some of you already did that in your head because you guys are all using mental math. Thank you. And if I did that correctly, that should be 58. What am I using? I'm using the order of operations. I'm not doing Mr. Jones's operations. No. I'm doing what the math people would developed a long time ago. Orders of operation. So the correct answer is 58. Your correct answer is 58. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Sometimes it's going to be multiplication division or division multiplication. Going from what? Left to right. Addition subtraction. Okay, going from left to right or subtraction addition. Questions or concerns? I want to pause here real quick and see what questions you may have. To see what questions you may have. All I'm doing is following directions, following the orders of operation. All right, now, something weird's about to happen, okay? Something really weird is about to happen. I don't want you to get upset or nothing. All right, but watch this. Here we go. That's 6. There's my bracket right there. Six. Okay. Now, this is going to be multiplication. Okay. We'll talk about that in just a second. When your numbers are side by side, you multiply. Okay. That's what you should tell my students a long time ago. When it's side by side, you multiply. Because I cross my fingers up and I cross them into an X. So side by side, you multiply. All right. So I got my 6 multiplied, close bracket 15 minus 8, close bracket minus 10 plus 3. Okay. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or dear my, or Sally Ann. Need 30 more seconds to write that down. Some of you are a little shocked because you don't see a symbol right here. Don't get upset. Say it again. Side by side, you multiply. Okay? Like you cross your fingers in an X. Like intersecting lines. Intersecting. Not perpendicular, but what? Intersecting. Side by side, you multiply. So if you need to do this, that's fine too. If you need to rewrite it saying, hey, Mr. Jones said that's 6 times. That's fine if you want to rewrite it that way. 6 times. I'm not changing the symbol. I'm just writing in a different color so we can see it. Questions or concerns? Now, all we got to do is follow directions, folks. Are there parentheses? Yes, there are. I have them here. 15 minus 8. 7. 6 times 7 minus 10 plus 3. Are there any more other parentheses? Yes, but I just brought this down here, okay? So we're okay because it's just a 7 in here, so we're done. Are there any exponents? Nah. Is there multiplication or division? It's just multiplication, so we can use this one right here. 6 times 7 is 42 minus 10 plus 3. Is there any more multiplication or division? No. So we can cross these out right here. Now, Aunt Sally, in this case right here, folks, it switched on us. It switched on us again. Look what is happening here. What comes first this time? Your subtraction comes first. Your subtraction comes first. Since your subtraction comes first, guess what? We do the subtraction first. So instead of Aunt Sally, it's going to be Sally Aunt. 42 minus 10. Some of y'all can do the mental math. I'm proud of you if you're able to do that. But I'm just checking my work right here. 32. Oh, that's a plus sign, plus 3. Addition sign. My correct answer is 35. Questions or concerns when it comes to the order of operations? Questions or concerns? I'm going to pause here for 30 seconds to see what questions you have. And once again, I do not have equal signs. Since I don't have equal signs, guess what we're calling these? We're calling these what? Expressions. If they had an equal sign, we will call them equations. But since there are no equal signs, we call them what? Expressions. Questions or concerns? You're doing a great job so far. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. What are we talking about? The orders operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Questions or concerns? All right, write this down for me. 16 plus 5 minus 3 plus 8. Write that down for me. 16 plus 5 minus 3 plus 8. Write that down for me. Go ahead and solve that. Start solving that for me. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. First question, first step. Are there parentheses? No. Are there exponents? No. All right. Is there multiplication division? No. Woo! We jumped all the way down to the bottom. Now, what comes first in this case? Addition. 16 plus 5. We got 21. Minus 3 plus 8. Subtraction is next. 21 minus 3. 18, 19, 20, 21. Checking my work. 18 plus 8. Gives us 26. Questions or concerns? Questions or concerns? Okay? This is why we have to look at the orders of operation, just know them. Why? Because every problem is going to be different. Okay? Notice, all of the problems that we did tonight, we did something different with them. But the key thing is we followed the what? parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, or division, multiplication. But you got to go from left to right. Whichever comes first, going from left to right. Left to right. Then after that, you do addition, subtraction, or subtraction, addition from left to right. Left to right. Questions or concerns? The orders operations. All right. Hey, folks. Woo, getting nervous now. All night, what have I been doing? I've been avoiding our exponent. Now I want to do a couple of them with an exponent. So let's take a look at this real quick and see what's going to happen. Write on your paper 3 minus, close parentheses, 2 to the third. That's an exponent, folks. Divided by 1, close parenthesis, plus 5. Oh, wow. I'm nervous on that one. I don't know what the answer's going to be for that myself. We're going to see in a few moments. Write that down for me, please. Write that down for me, please. Three minus parenthesis 2 to the third divided by 1, close parenthesis, plus 5. Hey, same thing. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Don't get nervous. We're going to work this out together. We'll work it out together. Don't worry. Are there parentheses? Yes. So I'm going to start here with our parentheses right here. Now, in this case right here, I told you, this is like the cha-cha man. So imagine the cha-cha man in your ear. Slide to the left. Do, do. Slide to the right. Do, do. Crisscross. Everybody clap your hand. So that's what's happening here. Okay? This is our little guy that's telling us what to do. Okay? The cha-cha man. That's his name. The cha-cha man telling you to do it. He's saying multiply 3 times, excuse me. Come on, Jones. I got this on 2 times 2 times 2. Because he says multiply your 2 3 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So now you got 8 divided by 1. And bring everybody else down. 3 minus 8 divided by 1 plus 5. I still have a parenthesis here, but inside of it is division. Okay? 8 divided by 1 is just going to be 8. So I got 3 minus 8 plus 5. 3 minus 8 plus 5. Okay? And I'm going to have an actual negative number here, and that's okay. It happens sometime. This is a negative number, and it happens. So right now, I got 3 minus 8, which should be, oh wow, a negative 5 plus 5. And negative plus 5 is going to give us a 0. Questions or concerns? Mr. Jones, you had a negative number. It's okay. These are exponents. These are the things that we're going to have to talk about. Okay? Questions or concerns? It's still, we call it the what? Order of operation. Order of operation. We had parentheses. Okay. We had an exponent. Yes. Do we have any multiplication? Not really, but we had addition and subtraction. All right, cool. Questions or concerns? Now, I need you to turn to a clean, brand new page. I'm still talking about orders of operation, but this one's going to look very weird. It's going to look very weird. Are you ready? I'm going to put this one in blue. That's how weird this one is going to be. Don't get upset. Ms. Jones, what's that? Is what we talked about in the very beginning. Don't get upset. Somebody just got upset. Oh, John, I can't do that one. Yes, you can. That's a plus sign. And guess what that just became? That just became a division sign. Oh, so the fraction bar is really division. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. All right, so let's figure out what we got to do first. Are there parentheses or other group symbols? Yes. This is this piece right here. But guess what, folks? Even though this is a grouping symbol, ooh, I'm excited. Why? Because you still have this here because you got your division. We want to do what's in our grouping symbol first. So what we got to do first here is come here and do the multiplication. All right? So I want to help you out here real quick. 4 times 2 will be 8. So that's 8, negative 8, divided by 2 plus 4. All right, 8 divided by, negative 8 divided by 2 is going to be a negative 4 plus 4. I love it when it comes up like this because a negative and a positive is going to give us a 0. It's not hard at all if you follow the what? Orders of operation. Were there parentheses? Not really, just had one right here. But I told you once before, side by side you multiply. Side by side you multiply. So I did negative 2 times 4, which is negative 8. Okay? We haven't talked about integers really, but we'll get to that. Divided by 2. So I brought my 2 down. My divisions for 8. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Plus 4, that would be 0. Questions or concerns? Ooh, boy. Are you ready for this next one, folks? Let's get ready. Let's get ready. I'm going to put another grouping sign up here. Okay? All right. Remember I talked about the absolute value? I'm going to put one of those up here. I'm going to put an absolute value up here. Watch this. Watch this. 6 divided by a negative 2 times, when we see this dot, you're going to learn that that dot means multiply. Here's that first parallel line, negative 4 plus 0. That's my absolute value right there. Ms. Jones, what's going on with that? I've never seen that before. I know. Hey, we're doing good. We're doing good on time as well, too. All we'll do is highlight our operation symbols. Ms. Jones, that's a period? Decimal? No. I'll explain it to you in just a second. Six divided by negative 2 times the absolute value of negative 4 plus 0. Now, check this out, folks. Ooh, I love math, folks. Check this out. All right, check this out. When I multiply, it can look like that. It can look like this. It can look like this. Four times 2, 4 times 2, 4 times 2. Okay? Don't get upset. All of these are the different symbols that represent multiplication. 4 times 2, 4.2 is not a decimal. It's raised up. When it's a little dot in the middle, 4 times 2, that means multiply. All right. Now, let's ask ourselves this. Now, you got parentheses. Now, I'm going to put a G up here that stands for grouping symbol. Remember, in the very beginning when I started talking, the parenthesis is a grouping symbol. And what I put up here is the absolute value. The absolute value is a what? A grouping symbol. So when you see parentheses, don't forget that parentheses is a part of a big group called the what? Grouping symbols. So we have to do what's in the grouping symbol first. This says 4 plus 0. Negative 4 plus 0. Guess what that's going to be? A negative 4 with the absolute value. What you know and what you need to learn is this. Anytime it's in the absolute value, whatever is negative transforms to a positive number. Whatever is inside, if it's a negative number inside the absolute value, it's going to change over to a positive 4. So I got my 6 divided by a negative 2. I'm going to change this dot here to a multiplication sign. Can you do that? Yes, because it's still what? Multiplication times 4. Whoa, Mr. Jones, you made a mistake, Mr. Jones, you made a mistake. How did I make a mistake? Mr. Jones, you got a negative 4 in your little, in between them lines over there. Yeah, I know. Remember, the negative 4 is going to become a positive 4. That's the math rules the math people came up with. So now I got 6 divided by negative 2 times 4. 6 divided by negative 2 times 4. Now, let's see here. I'm out of parentheses and grouping symbols. Check, check. Are there any exponents in this one? Thank goodness. Is there multiplication or division? Guess what's first this time? Our division. So we're going from left to right. 6 divided by 2, that would be should be a negative 3 if I did that correctly. I'll check that later on and bring down your 4. Yeah, because negative times negative is a positive. All right, negative 3 times 4. And that would be a negative 12. Questions or concerns? Questions or concerns? Folks, what we focused on today was the order of operations. Today we focused on the orders of operations. And when we talk about the order of operations, there are steps. Once again, when it comes to the order of operations, the key thing to understand that there are steps. That first word we talked about was what? Order. First word we talked about was order. Okay? That means there are going to be steps in some sort of a sequential order. When I talk about steps or the sequential order, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And it's locked in. You can't change it. And the first thing we talked about was parentheses. When we talk about parentheses, guess what, folks? It is part of this chain called grouping symbols. Okay? You have to do those first. Second will be this thing we call exponents today. Okay? And that'll be 4 to the second power. That's all an exponent is. I call it the little cha-cha man. Slide to the left. Hey, slide to the right. Crisscross. Everybody clap your hand. All right? He tells him what to do. He tells him to multiply 4 how many times? 4 times 4, which gives us 16. Parentheses. First, second, exponents. Please excuse my dear or dear my. What are you talking about? It's going to be multiplication or division, or it could be division, multiplication first. Whichever comes first when you're going from left to right. And finally, you have Aunt Sally, which is our addition, subtraction, or subtraction, addition. And you can do this. All you have to do is take your time, practice, and follow along. And you too will be one of the great mathematicians.